Welcome to Y Nada Más, a Real Madrid podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome to Y Nada Más, a Real Madrid podcast. I am your host, Eric Rivera, and this is another episode of the podcast. Welcome back. It has been a phenomenal week for Real Madrid, and what else can be said? We are having a good time. It is a good time to be a Madridista. Before this entire thing, before this entire span of games started, the games that was going to be Sevilla, Athletic Bilbao, Real Sociedad. Obviously, a lot of people were worried about what was going to happen with the team. Were we going to miss out on points? Now, obviously, we still have two very important games, which is one is against Inter Milan on Tuesday, and then the other in the Champions League to determine who is going to take that number one spot in Group D of the European Champions League. And then we also have the game against Atletico Madrid, the Madrid Derby, and that is also going to be another important game for Real Madrid. So since then, obviously since the game has passed, of course, against Real Sociedad, the one downside, of course, was the loss of Karim Benzema, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But then, of course, I have been a Jovic fanboy. I am happy that he finally was able to show some of his talent. I think he came back in that second half very quickly to showcase after a pretty quiet first half. After Karim Benzema gets off the pitch due to injury, he comes on. He has a very quiet first half and then has a great second half. Now we're going to get in all of that because I got a special guest today. But anyway, before I get started with, before we go to the podcast, that I have my good friend Trambak, who is the basically one of our YNM contributors here, one of our Y Nada Más contributors. Trambak is he's going to jump on the podcast with me, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Real Sociedad game, about Ballon d'Or, about some Barcelona banter. We're going to talk about, obviously, Barcelona's loss against Real Betis, Atletico Madrid's loss against Mallorca. There is a ton of things that happened positive for Madrid this weekend, and for any Madridista, it has been a great weekend for Madrid. Hopefully, this positivity continues, although, of course, we did have a negative, which was Karim Benzema's injury, but hopefully it's nothing very serious, although I think at this point we know he's going to be out against Inter. So with that said, guys, I want to get into the podcast with Trambak in just a second. Before we get into that, remember here it is you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever. I had to recently do a whole bunch of changes to the RSS feed, so if it got a little weird for some of you guys there, I'm sorry that we had to do that. Some stuff wasn't working correctly, and some of the episodes weren't being picked up. And something's happening with the Apple Podcast one. Not all the episodes are on there. We have with this episode, it's going to be episode 49, and I think it's only showing about 10 or so episodes. So we are on Spotify. We are everywhere else. I'm trying to get that fixed with Apple Podcasts. We're trying to see what's going to happen with that and hopefully get that fixed. All the episodes are going to start showing up, so that's only if you guys want to go back and listen to those. So we are on all those. Once again, I always bring this up, guys, if you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts, do me a huge favor. Please do us a huge favor. Please go there, leave a comment, leave a rating. It helps us grow. It helps us grow within the algorithm of Apple Podcasts to be seen by more people, be listened to by more people. And if you can share our podcast, regardless of whichever one you're on, that would be a big help for us. Besides that, of course, if you are listening to me on the audio version of the podcast, remember that there is a video version of the podcast. It is on YouTube. Just look up Y Nada Más Podcast on YouTube and you will find us there. Please help us out there as well. You guys that are listening, if you are fans and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. Even if you don't use YouTube as much, if you hit the subscribe button and we get to a certain amount of subscribers, we can get that vanity URL so I can give, my name. The channel can have the actual Y Nada Más podcast URL instead of it being, just a string of numbers. And then other perks open up, obviously, on YouTube for us to, of course, continue to grow the brand. So that helps us out a lot. Just even if you aren't on YouTube a lot or whatever, hit the subscribe button, help us out a lot there. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that. When it comes to social media, if you aren't watching, we got the ticker going on down here. Gives you all the handles. But if you are just listening, remember, I am on Twitter at YNM Podcast. That's where I am most active, and that is myself. And then, of course, we have at YNM Podcast on Facebook and at YNM Podcast on Instagram, where we just share a lot of cool graphics and stuff like that. Lineups, we type up little storylines and different impressions of what we saw with the games, with some of the graphics that we put up there. So check those out as well. Check us out on Instagram. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I got, like I said, my good friend Trambak. Trambak is going to jump on the podcast in just a few minutes, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of everything that's been going on with Real Madrid. So we'll be right back with my good friend Trambak B, contributor here of YNM Podcast. So let's just jump right into it. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to YNM, a Real Madrid podcast. I am your host, of course, Eric Rivera, and with me is YNM contributor, YNM contributor, Trambak B, as I call him, all the way from Kolkata. It's really good to have you back, man. It's a good time to be a Madridista. We're excited right now. We beat Real Sociedad yesterday 2-0. Real Sociedad, which I think at this point has been more of is really, I think, I've been talking about this on the podcasts. At this point right now, I think Real Sociedad, Sevilla, Atletico, those are really our real rivals right now. Barcelona is so far back at this point. So I think these other teams are the tough
Barcelona
ones.
is our former rival now.
Exactly. So, Trambak, just give me, a quick little, I know what I saw with the Real Sociedad game. I mean, it's been a while since you and I, chatted a little bit here on the podcast. So give me your impressions of the game yesterday versus Real Sociedad.
Against Real Sociedad, I think I didn't get to watch the full game, but what I did watch the full first half of the game. But what we can see that without Benzema, we were struggling, and we were meant to struggle because he has been the talisman for us for the past few games. And when Luka Jovic came on, I just thought that this game is over now. We have to get the draw at least, because I didn't realize that he will score a goal and will also record an assist. But good for him and good for us that he just performed well, because next week we are facing Atletico Madrid, and we will surely miss Benzema. But I think the confidence that Luka Jovic got from last night's match will go a long way. Yeah. And another thing I noted both in the Bilbao game and the Sociedad game is that our midfielders are really fatigued. Both Kroos, Modric. I don't think Casemiro is not that fatigued, but he's surely suffering from fatigue. But Kroos is totally suffering from fatigue, because I remember last night during the halftime, just before the halftime break, we got a free kick at the edge of the box, and Kroos just gave it to the opponent. Like, he didn't have his passing senses correct. So this was, I think, both in the Bilbao game and the Sociedad game, they were suffering from fatigue. And for the Sociedad game, we didn't get much time to prepare. That was the reason. But I think they will be all right for the Atletico Madrid game next week. Yep. But also, I think that Ancelotti needs to give Camavinga his chances. Just because Camavinga is performing well on the pitch, but he's quite reckless in his challenges. But I think he should be given some time on the pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think what we're seeing too is we're seeing a lot of definitely seeing fatigue. We've even seen it. Ancelotti. I mean, the players, even Modric came up after the game in the comments in the press conference and spoke about after Real Sociedad. He said that another 90 minutes, that he was playing another 90 minutes. But he said that he feels fine. Although I doubt that a player is ever going to say that they're fatigued, And we could tell, obviously the lack of rotation is what is a factor in Karim Benzema getting injured as well. And it was something that when I was watching the game, the commentators in Spanish were talking about, how it's been talked about a lot in Spain that Ancelotti isn't rotating. The fans are a little bit afraid of that because of the fact that, we were probably going to see injuries, and it is going to happen. But at this point, I think what happens is, one of the things they mentioned was, of course, Ancelotti, I think, sees this string of games that we had, which are these really tough games that we had, back to back, which have been, we started with, of course, we started with, we had, which was the first game that we had? Oh, Sevilla, then Athletic Bilbao, then Real Sociedad. Now we have Inter coming up, and then we have Atletico. It's kind of like he's probably feeling, I got to play with the best of my guys, even though it's tough and it's going to be a tough string of things, tough stream of games. I need the best out of my guys, but you're going to run a risk, and I think that risk showed up yesterday with Karim Benzema, and it could, definitely show up with the likes of somebody like Luka Modric, or as you said, Kroos, because what you said is true. There was a couple times, even yesterday, there were a couple times during the game where there was actually a free kick that Kroos gave directly to the opponents yesterday, which you would never ever see. It's like so hard to see that from Kroos to like mess up something like that. And that can only come because he's either tired. I mean, obviously mistakes can happen, but you start seeing a lot of drop in a little bit of the form of somebody that you're so used to seeing so consistently. You could see that it's probably due to fatigue. So I kind of am split on the thing, man, because I feel like at the same time I understand why Ancelotti is playing the team that he's playing right now and not rotating. But because, it's kind of like Ancelotti, the first time that he was coach of Real Madrid, suffered from the same thing. He didn't like to rotate players. We suffered because of it as well. And I think this time we do have more of a backup to, we have, like you said, Camavinga has been great the times he's come on. We have finally, we have Valverde back to be playing again. Essentially he's healthy again. So we definitely need, I think, even if you start, let's say, Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro in the midfield, I think it's important to make the changes a little bit earlier. If even if we're not haven't scored or anything yet, it's important because those guys changed the dynamic. In the Athletic Bilbao game, they changed the dynamic. I don't, it was a tough game, and we came out of that game, I think, winning because we were lucky. But that was one of those games that was lucky. Yesterday, Militao had an insane performance that he was crazy, and then we have of course
Yep.
Courtois, and I think things are just starting to match up correctly with the team. So Ancelotti's a little bit afraid to break that, but we definitely need to rotate when he sees the chance. He needs to take it, because if not, as the season goes by, we're going to suffer.
Yep. I think Courtois is in sensational form. I mean, people from the Premier League, especially pundits, say that he's the 8th best goalkeeper in the world right now. But people really need to start watching the La Liga because he's just something here. I remember a moment from the Bilbao game that there was a free header from the Bilbao players, and they also took time, and the player could, I forgot the name of the player, but he could generate the power to pop it into the goal, but it was directly on the goal, but it was a sensational save from Courtois, and he's just in tremendous form. I saw one press conference quote from Ancelotti. It was like that he told Courtois Courtois just saves everything in the training sessions, and he personally told Courtois to give the strikers the chance. I mean, to let them score a few, because that would give them confidence.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think that confidence came a long way to Luka Jovic.
Yeah. No, I thought that was funny. I thought that was funny when he said that, because it is crazy to think, that he has to. I mean, that he's that good that they. Ancelotti's like, yeah, let them score a little bit so they get confidence, and it played. The thing is, I think when it goes to Luka Jovic, I think, one of the things is, I'm going to come out and say it right now. I mean, I have been a Luka Jovic fanboy. I don't know what it is. I liked him when he was at Eintracht Frankfurt. I wanted him to do well in La Liga. I think there's been a lot of ups and downs with Luka Jovic. He had a whole situation with Serbia for skipping for the COVID thing, that he didn't, that he supposedly didn't go according to the guidelines, so he got in trouble. So he was, and I think there's maybe a language issue as well. But I think he's had time. He's struggled to make it in La Liga with Real Madrid. But it's also because, for me at least, Real Madrid does not play the style that Luka Jovic was used to at Eintracht Frankfurt. He's more of a second striker, playing in a 4-4-2. He's not used to being the lone guy, and you can tell. If we were to compare Luka Jovic with Benzema, it's basically night and day. Jovic is the type of guy that's going to sit there and he's not going to sit there and drop back like Benzema. He's not going to help out as much. It's definitely something that we can't compare. But in the box, if he gets his chances, yesterday we saw him a little bit hungrier, and he was definitely wanted to score. He came out in the second half, getting involved right away, gets the assist to Vinicius, which was actually a beautiful pass because he stops the ball. He basically turns quickly, lays it off to Vinicius. Vinicius scores. It was a nice 1-2 between both of them. So they matched up really nicely. And then he scores that goal. Which was definitely a goal where it was all about heart, because he jumped in there and tried to score that header, even though there was legs flying and everything that could have, kicked him in the face, but he still wanted his goal. And that was important, I think, to show that he was hungry. And one of the things that I'll take away from that goal with Luka Jovic was, and that I think of Madrid in particular that I liked yesterday, was you can tell these guys are a really tight unit, and I think that's why we're doing well. Because the way they celebrated the goal with Luka Jovic means that there is definitely a feeling. There's definitely, you could see that there is a genuine like for Luka Jovic, and they were genuinely happy for him. So that kind of shows you that probably in training he's doing well, he's doing his thing, and they feel like he hasn't gotten the chances, and then finally when they see him get the chance and he scores, they're all happy for him. So that shows you that in training, the team is getting along, and they want each other to succeed, because the way Alaba celebrated with him, I think definitely coming from the Bundesliga as well, and wanting him, they probably both can speak German. I mean, obviously Alaba speaks German, but I'm pretty sure Jovic can defend himself in German as well. So kind of getting that, speaking to each other and kind of congratulating him that way, and the rest of the team as well. That's a huge boost of confidence, and that's what we need, because we need a good backup striker if Karim Benzema runs into situations like this, and that's what's happening right now. We need him to show up. So, and part of me is like, if Luka Jovic shows up the way he played for Eintracht Frankfurt, we're going to do fine, So.
Yeah, I want to note out a point here that Luka Jovic scored his goal. I mean, he scored the header.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a natural striker's instinct, because
Yeah.
you don't expect Karim Benzema to score that kind of goals, like to position his body in such a way, like as you said, there are a lot of legs flying, and he just got into that area, scored the goal, and earned his stay in the team.
Yeah, for sure.
It was just a natural attacking instinct.
Yeah, and it was also.
I think one thing that Karim Benzema does, he just drops down, distributes the ball to Vini Jr. I think we're going to miss that, but let's try a new way. We are Real Madrid, and we always experiment our tactics.
Yeah. No, and honestly,
and I think it is also a good time to experiment the tactics, because we are now far clear of our. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I still got you.
Oh, okay. Then I thought there was some kind of connection problem.
No.
Uh, as I was saying that you, well, Luka Jovic won't be doing that kind of stuff like dropping down from attack and distributing the ball to Vinicius or Rodrigo or Asensio who plays with in the wings. But he can surely get you the goals if he gets the distribution from others. Like
Yeah.
Karim Benzema distributes the ball to others, but in the case of Luka Jovic, you have to distribute the ball to him to just to show his magic.
Yeah, but like I was gonna say, I think honestly you could see that they linked up very well. The tactic changed quite a bit as like you said, Karim Benzema is more willing to drop back and help distribute play to the wings, and then link up with them in order to sort of do those drop back and try to do 1-2 and start combining with the wingers in order to score. Whereas you could see that in the Real Sociedad game in the second half, and even after Karim Benzema came off, it really became where the game was all going through Vinicius on the right side, trying to get him to run up and start attacking, and then going from there, cutting inside, and then starting play from the wing. So it was you could see that it was kind of tough on Vinicius because he's not used to being probably the guy that is the guy who is distributing from there, and is the point of attack consistently, because that's what we saw. He was the point of attack consistently moving on that side. Of course, right now with Vinicius's form, I think somebody posted on Twitter, imagine being a defender and seeing Vinicius run at you. I think right now all defenders are scared of having Vinicius run at you because it's going to be difficult to stop him. But in this case, it's exactly like you said. It switched from being Benzema dropping back and distributing to Vinicius kind of being the one running up, challenging the defense and distributing from there, trying to get either Luka Jovic in the middle or changing play, cutting back to maybe a Kroos or a Modric. But I did see that, that first goal from Vinicius, that link up play between Jovic worked out really well, so it goes to show you that they're probably, even though Jovic hasn't featured, there seems to be a good relationship there. They linked up really well. So we got to see if that's going to work now. Is that going to work more, going ahead if we don't have Karim Benzema? Can that continue, and I think it will, because if you give Jovic, especially now that he's gotten that confidence, as he gets hungrier and gets the confidence, we know the guy can score goals. He's demonstrated it before. We know he's cold in front of goal. Like, the guy does not get phased easily. So I think he needed a moment like this. And like I said, I've been a Luka Jovic fanboy. I think I gave Luka Jovic way more patience than I gave Vinicius, because I definitely I wasn't crapping on Vinicius, but I definitely was one of those Madridistas that was worried that was he going to meet his potential, but he shut up my mouth completely, and I admit that. And a lot of people, didn't want Jovic on the team because they said, he wasn't a Madridista, not a Madridista, but he wasn't Madrid caliber. I think he just wasn't given as many chances as other players were, but you can see that there's a genuine a lot of Madridistas really there is much of a like for Jovic, and a lot of people see that he has that ability. And thankfully we saw it yesterday when we needed it, because like you said, as soon as Karim Benzema came off, everybody in Real Madrid was worried, like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Not having Karim Benzema. And for this guy to step up against Real Sociedad, who have been doing really well in La Liga, it's an important thing. And I think it's, like I said, it's a testament to how good this team seems to be working together and really being a unit. And I think, Ancelotti's coaching as well, he's very good at bringing the group together. He's always demonstrated that. So it's high flying right now for Madrid. I've been saying it for a long time. It's their La Liga to lose. When it comes to the Champions League, we're going to struggle with the harder, tougher teams in Europe. But this looks well. This does look good for them to continue building this confidence. Because if they have this confidence, man, I think as long as they feel unbeatable, they're going to make it tough for any other team to play them,
Yeah, I also agree, and I also want to point out a thing here.
Mhm.
I didn't expect two clean sheets in a row from Real Madrid, from this Real Madrid defense. That
Yep.
is the thing which is a huge boost to us, and we are taking it into the Inter game and of course the Atletico Madrid game, which is far more important. Like if we win
Mhm.
the Atletico Madrid game, I think we can say that it's our La Liga to lose because it's still December, and you cannot say such things like that because you never know what may happen. Because last year also Atletico Madrid was in the same position, not like they were not in this kind of gap, but they were still in the same position more or less. But we still catched up with them, and although we didn't get the trophy we deserved, but we still caught up with them. So let's see. I think uh, huge boost for Real Madrid is now the two clean sheets. And my main concern before the season was starting was Eder Militao, because I don't like that player much because of his he just fucks it up in defense, and so I don't like that a lot. Yeah, and Alaba, and the problem with Alaba is he goes forward a lot, which leaves behind spaces, and those spaces are not being covered by Madrid defenders. Yeah, during the time of Sergio Ramos, that's when he went up the pitch. It was either covered by Casemiro or Danny Carvajal was more fit at that time. He could make those speedy runs, but when Alaba goes up, there is no one to cover. Also, we are lucky that we are not getting that kind of counter attacks, or the teams in Spain are not that good. They are not like Bayern Munich. They are not just bursting into pace, and there is Lewandowski to finish us. So
Yeah.
we are lucky that way. Yeah, we are not like Barcelona. We are, at least we can say, the god of luck is with us.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I'm just
I don't know, man. I mean,
okay. You
Militao
go.
Militao started the season rough. I like him as a player. I think he is privy sometimes to make mistakes, but he's also young. It's not as he's not as doesn't have bring in the experience that Varane and Sergio Ramos had, of course. But Alaba, like you said, Alaba is definitely along the lines of Sergio Ramos, likes to go forward, likes to attack, likes to shoot on goal. We've definitely seen that he can do it. He can score goals too. So, and he's got the speed to drop back. He's got the fitness to drop back. But Eder Militao, man, I mean, he's having these flashes of brilliance like he did against Real Sociedad. I mean, if you look at that game, if you look at the highlights of everything that Militao did in the game against Real Sociedad, is it's incredible that he had a solid game. I mean, one of the best performances I think I've seen with him. I think the best performance we've seen from him at Real Madrid was that one. And he had a good. He helped us out a lot last season with Nacho. When we needed them because Ramos and Varane were out. So I think he has it in him. It's about, but again, the difference, the funny thing, I always kind of bring that quote up between that Mourinho said is like the difference between a player who's good and then a player that's considered world class is consistency, and we have a lot of players on Real Madrid right now that because they're young and everything, I think, and don't have as much experience, they're good, but they're not world class. Like I think Asensio, he's shown us that he's good, but then he'll do really well for a couple games or a game or two, and then he'll drop off, and then we don't see or hear from him again. Vinicius, the reason why everyone is starting to put him in that world-class conversation is because, yes, he was inconsistent last season and maybe before, but now those flashes of brilliance are consistent. The flashes of brilliance are consistent. Even when he has a bad game, you can see he's making life, very difficult for the defenders, and that fear that he's striking into defenders lately, I think helps the team as a whole because they're so concerned about Vinicius that it opens up things for Rodrigo, it opens up things for Karim Benzema, who now, with those two players that are also in form, it opens up opportunities for Asensio when he plays, and I think that all fits well. Like when everybody's doing well, which was something that we didn't see last season because they were either not fit, they were sick from they were coming back from COVID, they didn't, they were tired because there was so much game time that they were playing because there were so many injuries. I think we're starting to see what I felt would happen eventually, which was when this unit that we had, which is considerably almost the same team we had under Zidane, but they were always injured. When that team finally was healthy, they were going to be difficult. And this is what we're starting to see. And add to that, we're getting them to not only are they fit, but they're also getting more experience. They're binding together better as a team. Their chemistry. So I think it's, I'm happy, man. I'm always the positive one. I really think it's a good thing. It's a good time. I think the one thing though that makes us a little scared, of course, is the fact that our midfield is not a quick midfield. They're fatigued, they're fatigued, they're tired. And what is going to happen? Like in La Liga, like I said, I feel like La Liga, it's going to be pretty difficult for a lot of teams to face us in La Liga. But I don't think La Liga is where our difficulties lie right now. Our difficulties lie with the rest of Europe. What is it going to be when we face a Chelsea, a Manchester City, a Bayern, with these teams that are quick, that pressure a lot, that, we've already seen it. We saw it against Chelsea last season, that their midfield completely owns our midfield, so because they're quicker off the mark. I mean, that's why I think what you said is true and what many people are saying is true, which is we need to give more chances to Camavinga, to Valverde, those guys that not only offer, good, that can hold the ball in midfield and can make tackles in midfield, but they're also fast and they can also help the team get up the pitch quickly and distribute the ball quicker. So we have to see, man. But that's where I think is going to be. I love watching La Liga right now because because I think, like I said, I think that's where we're at. That's where we're going to be good. But it's going to be tougher in the Champions League for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's going to be tough in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
But like I used to say that we are just stressing ourselves, but we cannot. We are Madridistas and we just want the best.
Yeah.
I think we'll get a much better picture against Inter. I believe that we can secure our first position in the group in the Bernabeu and treat that to the fans.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it will be hard and also I think we'll get to see a larger picture of Real Madrid, because in the league we are doing well, but that does not, like as you said, that doesn't mean that we are going to do much better in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think La Liga is slower than the playing style of La Liga is slower than most of the leagues in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is helping quite us a lot. And also that is like how it is.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens. And the most surprising thing about last night is that I just got surprised because Atletico Madrid lost their game when they had the chance to go second above Sevilla.
Mm-hmm.
Like not like above Sevilla, they get to topple Sevilla. Like Sevilla was already in second, so they did get the chance to topple Sevilla, and I think that would have been a headache for us if Atletico won their match. But Atletico just lost. The Barcelona wins came inside Atletico Madrid last night, and so
the Xavi effect hit Atletico.
Yeah, the Xavi effect, as they say it. Yeah, and also like that, Xavi just trolled himself, because the other day in the Barcelona press conference, I heard Xavi saying that tomorrow is like a final. He was like trying to copy Zidane. You can copy Zidane,
yeah,
but you cannot replicate us.
Yeah. No, and I honestly, I mean, I don't feel like to be honest with you, I don't, talking about our rivals, our bitter rivals that are Barcelona, although they are not our rivals in this La Liga this season.
Yeah, they are former rivals.
Yeah, but
they're not even our rivals anymore. No, I don't think in the future.
I think it's going to be some time before they
may better set up a rivalry with Real Betis or like Espanyol. The Espanyol, the Barcelona derby should be given more.
Yeah. Yeah, Barcelona now Espanyol.
I don't think
now Espanyol is actually going to be giving them some.
Yeah, Espanyol is their worthy opponent right now, because Espanyol is just the biggest team in Barcelona. Of course, is Espanyol, and is like 9th, and Barcelona is 7th.
Mm-hmm.
They did. I also saw a troll meme, which you can say. They were saying like Real Sociedad versus Real Madrid is like fight for the league leaders place. Atletico Madrid and at home detail Mallorca is like the second place position or the top four,
Yeah.
and Barcelona and and whom did Barcelona and Real Betis was like fight for the second sixth place for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
European Conference League.
Yep. No,
So I wish them the best in the Europa League already, because good luck to Barcelona
Oh
and
man.
their fans in the Europa League, because already you have spiced Lewandowski's mind.
Yeah.
He is already like in awe because how Lionel Messi got the award
Yeah.
Balloon d'Or as you can call it. It's
Yeah.
not the Ballon, it's a Balloon d'Or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and Mueller too. Mueller wasn't happy either. So I mean, those are two guys. Those are two
He's
guys.
like he has some beef with Argentina and Barcelona. Yeah,
Well, I
because
mean,
I have seen many instances where Muller was brought up. I think Maradona, when he was the coach of Argentina, and Muller on his debut like played against in his Germany debut played against Argentina and scored like scored a hat trick. And Maradona before in the halftime during the halftime interval told that who is this guy, who is this kid,
yeah.
does he play, is he termed Muller as a ball boy, and then Muller thrashed Argentina as the Germans always do it like that way. Like doing it
Yeah.
his way.
Yeah, no.
So
I mean,
like he has some beef with this Argentinian.
yeah. I mean, I definitely think they. I mean, they want to make an example out of Barcelona this next week, and it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be an ugly one because I think Lewandowski and honestly, I think Lewandowski earned it. I think he's earned it over the last 2 seasons. And I think he's going to show everyone who the real Ballon d'Or should have been. I think, it's going to be interesting to see them. And, I don't, honestly, I have no, Xavi was one of those players that I really disliked when he was at Barcelona because, I mean, yes, he is a talented player, but he was always one of the guys that talked shit about Madrid. So he was, I mean, I remember, he brought up that whole thing about Casemiro not being a midfielder that could understand the Barcelona way of playing. He's always made his shots at Madrid, so he's getting what he deserves, and Barcelona is getting what it deserves right now. So in that case, I had no sympathy for them. But like I said, I mean, I think going into La Liga, getting out of La Liga and going back to Europe. I mean, when we go to Europe, that is where I think we need to start trying these different midfielders. We need to start being, because right now, I don't like to say it because I really dislike the Premier League fanboys and then the pundits that only think about the Premier League being the Premier League is always the best in the world or something like that, even though La Liga teams have destroyed them in Europe in the past few years.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I mean, because the Champions League says otherwise. So.
Exactly.
I mean, have you seen the Premier League defense except Chelsea? Also, Chelsea did, and that day, West Ham scored a goal. I mean, I forgot the name of the player. Wait.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's always funny because
West Ham scored that goal, and I can't imagine Real Madrid is even conceding that kind of goal from that long range. It was like I saw the game and I expected is that he will cross the ball, and he just went for the goal. He has the audacity to go for the goal against a big team, as they say it, like Chelsea.
Yeah,
and they just got hammered in that match, I would say.
Yeah, no, and that's why I mean I would
expect that from the league leaders.
Yeah, but I would say that obviously right now, the Premier League has some scary teams in there when it comes to competing in Europe. We have to see, but we haven't seen them compete right now against the teams from La Liga. We have to see how we'll face them because, I mean, obviously Liverpool was flying last season as well. They were doing well, and we were able to beat them. So it's not like they're always they're not as invincible as they like to think they are. The teams from the Premier League. So. I think we always end up, whether it's even a team like Villarreal against Manchester United or a team like, the smaller teams, like teams like Sevilla that from La Liga that they consider smaller teams, beating them. It's always something when La Liga meets the Premier League. So I think we have, like I said, I think we have an opportunity, but there are tough teams out there that can cause us some trouble. The funny thing is though, like everybody likes to bring up these big name teams because they have big names on them. I mean, if you look at PSG has all these huge names, but they're suffering too. They're not doing as well as you would think they would do. I
don't think PSG is a football team. They're a corporate firm, I think. You don't, yeah. And it was quite I got surprised. I mean, it's okay for the Leo Messi Ballon d'Or. I was like, okay, it can happen, but that Gigi Donnarumma, Eduard Mendy deserved his what they say, the Yashin Trophy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Yashin Trophy. Eduard Mendy deserved the Yashin Trophy. I don't know how Donnarumma got that. I think because of the performances against England in the Euro 2020, but Eduard Mendy deserved it more than anyone else.
Yeah,
I think they promised Donnarumma the Yashin Trophy for coming to PSG. I think that may be one case.
Yeah, because honestly, I like
Leonardo. We have seen.
Yeah, I like Donnarumma as a goalkeeper, but he wasn't doing well with he didn't do well. Like if we look at the last season, he was with Milan last season. He wasn't with PSG, and it's not like Milan did he did help them get into the Euro into the Champions League again. He helped them in the Euros, but if you look at somebody, he's been a player who's been playing for quite some time in Serie A. And you look at Eduard Mendy, who in a lot of ways kind of seemed like he came out of nowhere and then just had an insane season with Chelsea. And I think, I think he's one of those guys that deserved it. And even right now, if you look at some of the saves Eduard Mendy is making and the way he plays for that Chelsea team as a goalkeeper, he is a very, very good goalkeeper. So, I can see that definitely. I think Donnarumma got it because of the fact, once again, I think the PSG bias was there with France football, and then of course these, I don't know, man. Sometimes just putting these, sometimes it's funny to me that, a player can do well and he can do decent, not even that well, but then you put so much emphasis on one international trophy, like the Euro, like the Copa America, and it's kind of like those sort of overshadow the rest of everybody else because it doesn't make sense because, the other one should be, to me, the whole criteria, and I don't want to, I kind of talked about this on my last podcast where I ranted about the Ballon d'Or, but there's no criteria. If you look at it, we don't know what they're deciding. It really is a popularity contest. It's like you and I deciding right now, although, we both love football and we like watching it. It's like you and I deciding, who our favorite guy is, and then we just say that's who it is. There's no criteria, because people look at, oh, this guy had more goals, this guy had more assists, this guy had passes, this guy had attempted dribbles, which all of a sudden have become a thing. It's like, where is the criteria that there should be like a list of things that these guys have to answer when they're making
this?
Yes,
that is a thing right now, and the pass accuracy thing for which Pedri got the Copa Trophy.
Yeah.
This the only thing I think mattered was that how many assists you got or how much you contributed to the team, what you
and then you look at like
won with the team. And now these things like to succeed or how much back passes did you make?
How many
the same case with Pedri. I think Pedri how many games did you can play in a row and how was your fitness? And the same was with Pedri.
Yeah. And I saw somebody bring up through balls. Like how many through balls you made? Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, how many through balls you can make? That I'm making every day in my local ground. So I should be the recipient of the Copa Trophy then.
No, because
but now these things are coming because it's Pedri and it is Barcelona. If it was Real Madrid, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
I think.
No, and I think sometimes I like the stats for seeing how a player is doing and all that kind of stuff and how a team either dominated or sometimes, looking at stats where you see like, the expected goals should have been, one team should have had like 5 expected goals, but none of them went in. And one team that had like 0.5 expected goals was the team that won in the end, So stats don't always tell the whole story, because at the same time, somebody also brought up, when it came to Lewandowski and Messi, said, one of the comparisons was, what was it? Total passes, like the number of passes. And you also have to take into thought, when you think about that, it's like, yeah, but what style does Bayern play, and what style does Barcelona play? Barcelona plays a huge, their style is all about passing the ball around. And so there is going to be a lot of passes, but a lot of those are going to be side to side or back, they're not going to be moving the ball forward. Whereas Lewandowski is a guy who's a striker and he's sitting up there at top. And, but if you see the way he scores goals out of chances that look like they would never go in, out of situations where you think no one's going to try to shoot that, and he still scores it. Those are the things that I think there's no criteria. It's all about, like, we're looking too much at these, trying to dive too much into these stats, trying to show, oh yeah, like you said, like the pass accuracy. Although, if you look at somebody like Gross, who has the pass accuracy, but then you take into account how many of those are key passes, how many of those sometimes are assists, how many of those actually move the ball forward, how many of those are long balls that are actually successful, those things can give you a better idea of whether those passes really mean anything. But to say, he's got 2,500 something passes to Lewandowski's 600, and that's why he deserves it more, is kind of ridiculous to me. And they even had it like highlighted, Lewandowski has played less games, Messi has played more games. So, but then it doesn't make any sense to me, because then I'm like, well, isn't that a better stat for Lewandowski because he played less games than Messi but scored more goals than him? So there's so many things that I feel like I said,
I think he deserved the Ballon d'Or because he broke the Muller record.
Yeah. No, and that's another thing, because
I think it was 50 goals.
Yeah, no, and that's another thing, because he broke this record, which people are like, oh yeah, but it's the Bundesliga. And it's like, yeah, but that record has been there for 50 years. How come no other strikers that have been in the Bundesliga have been able to break that if the Bundesliga is so easy? So there's a lot of these really nonsense kind of takes that you say, and it's not, I don't mind. I mean, I'm not a Messi hater. Messi's a fantastic player. But to take away the Ballon d'Or from a player who clearly deserved it after having 2 seasons of being, who really has had 2 seasons of being phenomenal. Not only 2 seasons, I mean, he's been doing it, season in and season out, but the last 2 seasons he's been far and ahead of a lot of other people. To take it away from him and then just make up some BS trophy was the thing that I think a lot of people are angry about, because it's just like, and then bring up the COVID. Oh, they canceled 2020. It was COVID or whatever. It's not France's football's fault that there was COVID. Yeah, but football didn't stop in 2020 when there was COVID. It stopped for a little bit, but the leagues, the big leagues continued. So in a lot of ways, you just kind of said 2020 might have not have even happened then. You might have just not even taken into account whatsoever, because you're not even showing this one guy the respect that he deserves. So that was my issue with the whole thing. But at the end of the day, I think my issue with the whole thing is the criteria, and there not being any. It's just, who's your buddy? Who's your friend? It's politics. Who's your buddy? Who's your friend? Who do you like best? And if you were to put me on a panel, as much as I admire Leo Messi for being a great footballer, and I like players, there are players that I would probably say, I'd probably put Karim Benzema up there. I'd probably put the guys that I like up there, because there's always going to be a little bit of a bias. So that's why there has to be some sort of criteria, and we don't see that. It's really a popularity contest.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I think we should come back to Real Madrid because we are talking about some other player in a shit team, and I don't think we should talk about that much.
I love your banter, man. Let's come back to banter. Let's go back to the team. Let's go back to the team that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. The best club in the world.
All right, so give me something else. What are your thoughts right now?
So I wanted to ask you a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you go first.
No, I was just gonna say no. Ask me
Okay,
the
go
thing.
first.
Ask me the thing. Ask me the thing.
Uh, I think you wanted to ask me the same question, but I am asking it to you. What are your thoughts on the Inter game?
Well, actually, it wasn't the same question, but my thoughts on the Inter game. I think honestly, well, so the thing is this. I think it's as much as I know Ancelotti probably wants to win that game, and I know we want to win that game, of course. We can walk away with the first place in the group with a draw.
Yes, and we won't face Bayern
Yeah.
Munich in the round of 16 then.
Exactly. So obviously we want to have those well, obviously we want to have, want to walk away as first in the group. But I do think it's an opportunity to rotate some players. And I do think we have a chance to beat Inter. We've already done it before. I think Inter is not the same team they were last season when they had Lukaku. It's a very different team, even with Edin Dzeko as their striker. I really do think that Real Madrid is a stronger team at this point, and we can walk away with that. But I would like to see some more rotation from Ancelotti in this game. Like I said, we can walk away with a draw in this game, so it'll probably be gritty, but we have to see how. I mean, Inter's going to try to come to win it, so we have to make sure that we are solid defensively. But yeah, I mean, I honestly feel like this is the one we would probably want to rest our players in to get ready for Atletico, which I think is going to be a game where not only is Atletico going to be a tough game because there are biggest rivals in La Liga at this point, but I know Atletico is going to come in strong, and they're a rough team. They're an aggressive team. So you want to make sure that our team is rested and ready to play against them. So, I would actually like to see Ancelotti rotate and maybe start, rest Modric or rest Kroos, one of the two, and start maybe with Camavinga, give him a chance. That's kind of what I would like to see against Inter.
Yeah, I have the same feeling here too. And Ancelotti will be committing a crime if he let Modric and Kroos play. And everything is okay with Casemiro, but you can't let Kroos and Modric play again the full 90 minutes. The Kroos doesn't usually play the full 90 minutes, but Modric does.
Yeah.
And I think Camavinga and Asensio, I don't think Valverde should be given a chance, because I don't think Valverde is 100% fit to play the big game. But I think Asensio, you can. We have seen Asensio in the center midfield position, and he like one or two times this season, and he did pretty well there. So I think why don't give Asensio a chance in that position? I think he will do well. And there's not much headache with that game because we have already qualified for the round of 16. But still, if you ask me, I don't want to draw or face with Bayern Munich in the round of 16, because this may ruin our reputation. And although I don't think it will go like we are not Barcelona, they know that. Even Bayern Munich knows that we are not Barcelona. We have some seriousness when we play against top teams. It is not Xavi coaching this team, and he is not like telling each and every game is a final just to copy Zidane. And he thinks that is like a blessing, that when a coach tells like that the next game is like a final and he wins it. You are not Zidane. I would like to tell Xavi if he would like to watch this podcast.
Oh, he watches it.
After watching this podcast,
I'm sure he
would like to remain as the coach of Bayern. Yeah.
But yeah, no, man. I mean,
okay. So good luck, Xavi, for watching this podcast. I don't think you would be the Barcelona coach after you watch this podcast with all the banter.
Yeah, man. But no, for sure. I definitely, like I said, I don't want us to rely only on trying to get a draw. So we have to. But I like that idea of bringing in Asensio. I think that's interesting. Maybe playing Camavinga and playing with Camavinga. Asensio and Casemiro might be an interesting one there. More of kind of maybe as them being a double pivot. With Asensio kind of leading. that midfield line, maybe, have as a center attacking midfielder that could be good playing behind a striker. That's something that we've seen him do, and he's done well. So you never know. I mean, that could be something, but it remains to be seen, because I don't know if Ancelotti's a stubborn dude, and that's the one thing I'm worried about that. But I definitely hope Camavinga starts and gets more opportunities there. I mean, really, they need to be rested for the game against Atletico. Just because Atletico is a team that always play, like I said, they always play rough. They're always going to come in hard, and we want to make sure that our teams, our players are in good fitness to face that. And then not only that, it's what that game against Atletico means for La Liga. Essentially, we win that game, and it'll be we put quite a bit of space between us and the rest of the pack, which gives us, I think gives Ancelotti a lot more breathing room. If you look at it right now, one of the things that interests me the most is this coming into these 5 games or so. Everyone was worried about them because it started off with Sevilla, then it went with Athletic Bilbao, then to Real Sociedad, which were the tougher teams in La Liga right now. Then we have Inter and Atletico. If we walk out of this 5 out of 5, man, it's absolutely insane, and Ancelotti is going to be looked at like a genius. So I would like us to walk away 5 out of 5 because we've been doing so spectacular, and really, if we do that, it's going to give, I think, Ancelotti a little bit more breathing room to start trying to rotate players and playing, be a little bit more focused and start getting those chances to, get guys ready for the round of 16 and have them fit for when the round of 16 starts. So we'll see, but I'm just excited about everything, how it's going right now. And I hope it continues that way. I mean, and the thing is, man, I still think Madridistas, we do worry because there are going to be games like Athletic Bilbao where we kind of don't play well, and it's going to be lucky for us to get out of the game, with a win where we win 1-0, 1-0, and it's going to be very difficult for us to hold the result, and we're all going to be freaking out and thinking we're going to lose the game. But those games happen, and I think sometimes Madridistas, we get too worried when games like that happen, where the team just isn't able to score as many goals as we would like, and we have to grind out a win. I think grinding out a win is what a championship team does. Sometimes they have to do it. Because not all teams play us the same, So, I'm actually thinking right now the game after Atletico Madrid is Cádiz, and we always worry about teams like Cádiz with Real Madrid. We worry about these smaller teams because of the fact that they sit back.
Cádiz was the giant slayer last season.
Yeah,
I still remember they beat Barcelona, they beat Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
And they drew with Atletico, and so they were like the giant slayer, but they are not doing pretty much well this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, that we struggle against smaller teams, against weaker teams, I would say.
Yeah.
But
well, it's teams that just sit back.
To be honest.
It's teams that sit back.
Yeah, they just sit back. When they play Real Madrid, they just sit back and try to get the draw. But at the end, they know the tactics that at the end Real Madrid would be fatigued enough and they can start a counter attack and they score a goal in like the 88th minute, which was happening a lot of times last season. But this season, I'm not seeing that kind of gesture. But you never know. Still, I think at the Atletico Madrid game will be easy, but against Cadiz it will be quite tough because this is what Real Madrid is now.
No, it's because of that. It's because when we play teams that are higher up on the table, those teams don't. We struggle with teams that sit back and just defend because of the fact that they're just sitting back and defending, and we have to continue attacking. And we get fatigued from attacking so much and not being able to break down, let's say, the defenses. Now, it's a little bit different because we have a guy like Vinicius running at those defenses and really causing problems and opening up spaces, trying to, wiggle his way in there. And, it helps us kind of break apart those kind of teams. But when we play an Atletico Madrid, a Real Betis, a Sociedad, these are teams that are not looking to sit back. They're teams that are looking to attack. And when those teams are looking to attack and try to score on us, they're obviously opening themselves up for opportunities like Real Madrid does. So that's why it seems to us always as Madridistas right now that it's actually easier to face teams like Atletico and some of the teams at the higher end than it is to face these teams at the lower end, because they can make life miserable for us during the 90 minutes because it's one of those games, you know what it is, playing these smaller teams. It's where it gets to a point where one goal is going to decide the game. So if Real Madrid has one lapse defensively, mentally, anything like that against these smaller teams, they can get a goal scored on, and then it's difficult to get a goal back, Whereas when you play with some of these big teams, you have these opportunities. You get a lot more opportunities to score, and it just seems like it's going in our favor that way. One of the things that has been coming up a lot lately is, that Real Madrid has actually been going over their expected goal, the expected goal number. So even though we've been maybe our expected goals is like 1.5, 1.6, we've been scoring 2 or 3, which makes it show that our finishing this season has been much better, and we're actually putting away some of the more difficult shots, stuff that we weren't able to do last season, where we were not able to put away, pretty much we weren't able to put away a lot of things. We weren't able to score many goals last season. So this season has been good in that regard too. The finishing has been better. The team, like I said, for me, it's just been firing on all cylinders. There are things that need to be fixed. Like you said, defensively, there are times that there are lapses, Alaba going up, which I like it that he does that and he attacks. But it does leave the back line shaky.
Well, to be honest, I don't really care about what goes in the defense, because we are scoring 3 goals and then we concede one. What I feel bad is about Courtois, who plays well the entire game, and there's a sudden burst where the defense just breaks down, and that costs him his clean sheet. And I don't like that, because he deserves the clean sheet in every match. His performance is really constant.
I would like him to get the Zamora Trophy at the end of the season. And it's also Real Madrid.
I think that Karim Benzema is now the favorite one to get the Pichichi, but with this injury setback, I think Vinicius is robbing him of the Pichichi.
Yeah, he
got a chance to win the Pichichi this season, where there is no Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo.
I would love to see Karim win it. I want Karim to win it. I want Karim to win it. We'll have to see how it's going to go. I mean, so as far as the last time I heard, I guess just to kind of conclude the podcast, but the last thing I heard definitely was that he was going to be out of the Inter game, but they're going to check him with an MRI to see what's going to happen.
There will be tests tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning there will be tests. But one thing I wanted to say for the Inter game is that I would not really care much about the result of the Inter match, because already we have qualified. I would like a win, but a draw will be okay. We already won. We got unexpected wins against Sevilla, Athletic Club, Real Sociedad. I didn't expect the team to win these matches. At least I thought we would lose a match, but we got 3 wins out of 3. So against the Inter game, as Karim Benzema is injured, I believe that Ancelotti is thinking that we don't have Benzema right now, and we have Luka Jovic on the front. And as I said during the start of the podcast, that you don't expect Luka Jovic to drop down and distribute the ball to Vinicius, or do skills with the ball and distribute it to Rodrigo or Vinicius. So I think that Asensio should be played, because Asensio has the ability to move up the ball and distribute the ball forward. I mean, I don't like that guy, but not does every Madridista, but I think he's the best for now. We have got Camavinga cannot do that. Camavinga is exceptional. Camavinga is good for the defense, ball retrievals, but
no, I agree with you.
Camavinga cannot do that, going forward.
I agree with you, and I think Asensio has some renewed confidence a little bit. I've been seeing better performances from him recently, so I think it's a good option, definitely, to have him there. And we've seen that when he's played, sometimes sitting, behind the strikers or behind the forwards, he's performed well. So especially, like you said, because we have Jovic, and Jovic is more of a player that you need to feed the ball to, not one that's going to drop back and get it. I think you need to get him the service. And I think and honestly with this, and I hope because I want him to do well, regardless of what ends up happening at the end of the season. If we get Haaland or Mbappe or whatever, which would definitely mean Jovic is gonna have to go somewhere else. But I would like to see him, take this chance and run with it, and and do well for Madrid. And I think if you give him, now that he got those goals, I think he might be somebody that is going to start banging in some goals for us, and that would be great to see, both for him and for Madrid. So man, I agree with you. It's going to be, I still think it's going to be interesting. I think the Inter game is going to be interesting to see, because it's going to be kind of show us a lot of how Ancelotti he's going to show us a little bit of how he would be willing to play if there was not a Benzema, if he didn't have Benzema, and how he's going to address that situation, not having him. So that is going to be interesting. I mean, is he going to play defensively? Is he going to play? How is he going to play that game? So it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to come out. But anyway, man, I'm glad to have you back on the show. It's been a while since we did a podcast. I know things have been getting back to normal for you over there as well. Like I said, I've been in the office. Trambak is back going to class in college and stuff over there. So I think things are getting back a little bit back to normal, I think, and I just want to say for everybody out there, because I know we have fans in India, and I know we have fans all over in Europe as well that hit us up. Guys, it's still, we're still not out of the woods yet, but stay safe out there, guys, and a la Madrid. And Trambak, what do you have to say before we go?
I just want to say, Xavi a thing, because he just told, and it just really messed up my mind. I was just waiting for the stuff from Barcelona fans, because I thought that Barcelona would win the game, and when Xavi told that tomorrow is a final, and they would start comparing him with Zidane and all that stuff, like he made 300 passes in one game, Zidane only made 3 passes, and that kind of stuff you see in Twitter. I just want to tell you one thing, that when Xavi told that tomorrow is a final, I just want to tell you that you ain't got the juice like that. Okay. So signing off then.
All right, man. So thank you very much for joining the podcast. It's always good to have you. And that's it, guys, for this episode of Y Nada Más. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you, or we will talk to you again next week. Thank you very much for listening. We appreciate all the support.